Hey everybody, it's Rhondi, aka Goldino Gawa, and welcome to the first episode of Rhondi's Inktoberfest. Today I'm going to be inking Kirhi, the desert chimera, and Borhosa, the Arctic chimera. So I've got two of them. The Kirhi's got a tail, so I'm just going to get started right now, even though it's a little bit early. So Kirhi is caracal and Gensbach and horned viper, which is a really cool looking snake. If you get the chance to Google horned viper images, it's a pretty bitchin' looking snake. And this is just the tail of it that's on Kirhi. And the head is something else. I mean, really deserves its own piece. But the thing, I decided with these chimeras not to do multiple heads. Just because I am not a complete masochist. It was a design thing. I wanted to do chimeras that didn't have multiple heads. I've got another sort of series of chimeras called the astral chimeras, and they do have, well, some of them have multiple heads. It was a thing, like certain star systems have more than one. Certain stars are binary systems or tertiary systems. They have multiple stars, and so like the astral chimera relate to different stars, and they would have kind of as many heads as that star had stars, you know. So Sirius had two heads. And I realized that I try to make it so that there are no distractions when I'm doing these ink pieces, especially when I'm streaming, because that's sort of, the stream is distraction enough. So my phone, which I'm using actually to stream the video, which it's a work in progress, trying to get it not to lag and create distortions, which I keep putting down the resolution, and it gets better, but there's still some there, and for those of you in the stream, I apologize. You'll be able to watch this in all its clean glory on YouTube afterwards. I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry about that. Mostly I'm thinking about inking. Oh yeah, what I was saying is I have my phone on airplane mode, so no distractions from my phone, but I have my iPad here to monitor the chat, and my iPad is helpfully bouncing texts that go into my phone. So my mom just texted me, but you can't see the text that my mom is sending me, and that's the important part. Kirhi has like I said, she's got when I try with these chimeras, when I'm doing the design of them, I don't just try to like slap different body parts together. I try to give them a cohesive look. And so Kirhi, even though she's nominally the body of a caracal, her markings, and you know, her markings are nominally that of a caracal. This black patch in her forehead is actually what the Gensbachs have. They have a lot more black on their face, but I put that in because I felt it worked with the shape of a caracal's face, and it kind of helps sort of give her design a cohesiveness to it. It's not just a caracal with Gensbach horns. It's an animal of its own. Wanted to talk a little bit about the thought, so sort of the creation of these chimeras. They are broadly the environmental chimeras. I mean, that sounds a little new agey and hippie, I guess. Maybe not. I don't know. But you know, so I have Rhondi, the volcano chimera, and you know, here's Kirhi, the desert chimera. So they're all kind of based off of animals that you could find in those environments, supposedly. Rhondi's a bit of a, well, she's a bit odd. She's a bit of a anomaly in that regard. But when when I go in and I'm designing them, like today I designed the alpine chimera. And what I do is I go on and I look up, you know, well, what kind of animals do you find at high elevations? And in that case, and I realize I should be talking about Kirhi because she's the one I'm drawing. But, you know, so to flip it, so for desert, I was sort of looking up deserts and what do you find in the deserts? And she's sort of an African desert chimera. So with the caracal and the Gensbach and the horned viper, those are all from the continent of Africa. And I think that she's obviously not the definitive. None of these are like the definitive. There isn't like, not all desert chimeras are caracal, Gensbach, horned viper. You or I could do 10 different desert chimeras, all using slightly different combinations of animals. They're the environmental chimeras in my head. They're these kind of protector spirits that, you know, manifest, and they appear as, you know, these combination of animals in the environment that they protect. So they're sort of they're nature spirits, I guess, and this is just sort of their physical manifestation of themselves. They could be, most of these I'm drawing in what I call sort of my semi-feral style, in that it's not really anthro, but they're very subtly anthro in that, sort of the broadest definition of the term, in that I give them slightly larger eyes, I flatten the faces a little bit, and I kind of just sort of tweak their anatomy just a little bit so that you could believe that these creatures could, you know, maybe stand up on their hind legs and start talking to you. They're just choosing not to do that right now. They can obviously, well, not obviously because you haven't seen them, but they can, if they want, choose to appear in more kind of overt anthro forms. Which, for those of you who follow my work, that is Rhondi in a kilt. Probably, if you've just stumbled onto this video or this stream, probably an obvious question is going to be, what equipment are you using? What are you drawing with? And the answer to that is I'm drawing with a Pentel Pocket brush pen, which was recommended to me. Well, the way I found out about it was my friend Moth Monarch, Mary Capaldi, started posting these amazing pictures of, she draws really, really great bugs and insects and stuff. And she started posting these amazing pictures with, it looked like they'd been drawn with like a paintbrush with just this beautiful black ink and this beautiful variation on the brush strokes and stuff. And I was like, friend, what are you using? What sorcery? And she's like, here, this. And yeah, I got one, and they're amazing. They're amazingly economical. They're refillable pens. So maybe after I finish these guys, I'll take this one apart so you can see how it works. But basically there's an ink cartridge in there, and when the ink cartridge runs out of ink, I pop another one in. And the ink refills, I think you can get like a pack of like 5 for a couple of dollars. They're not terribly expensive for how much, you know, how much ink you get in them. It's not a bad price. And then the pen itself, most refillable pens in my experience are rather expensive, which kind of makes sense because it's built to last, the pen is, and then you put the ink in it, and ink is cheap. And This pen, I got it on sale, but it not like a whole lot on sale, and it was like under $5, and it was amazing. So, Pentel Pocket Brush Pen. Do highly recommend. And one of the things that I like about it is it is so, it's not really honed. It's not a specialized shape, which can make it difficult sometimes for certain things, because you have to really, you can't cheat and just let, the brush won't do a lot of work for you. You do have to kind of learn how to use it. But once you get an idea for like how to get certain effects with it, it can really be applied to do a whole lot of things. I do calligraphy with it, like not just kanji, but like black letter fonts, which I started doing because I saw like a little video on Twitter of someone doing this amazing calligraphy with like a Crayola marker. And they're like, it's not about the pen, it's about the practice. And I'm like, well, hell yeah. I'm just going to start trying to letter like that with the pen I have, which is this guy, and it did pretty well. I am looking at my time, and my time is actually going pretty well. I'd been intending, well, I've been hoping to get these inked at a rate of one every 20 minutes or so. So the idea is it's an hour-long show, and I ink 2 pieces, and then I have 20 minutes to answer questions, run the auction, which Borhosa is going to be up for auction at the end of the hour. Kirhi was sponsored by my lovely girlfriend, Chimera, who I think like when I first posted like the very first like concept of the desert Chimera before she had a name or anything, and Chimera was like, if you ever do character adopts, let me know. I want her, I need her. This was like a year and a half ago. And then when I did this, she sponsored her before I could stop her. I try not to let my partners buy artwork from me, but I don't always succeed. And that's to their credit. And I apologize if I go quiet now and then. I was going to play music, and then I forgot. And now we're going, and I can't be bothered. And also, I'd have to play it off my iPad, and I forgot to sync more music to my iPad. And I could stream it, but I really don't want to stress my internet connection. I mean, I have good internet here, but I really I don't want to test it. I'd rather sorry, I had to concentrate. I'd rather my internet was not distracted, so that hopefully what you're watching is looks a little better. And obviously, I do have some music on my iPad. Maybe we'll get some music set up when I stop to switch over to Borhosa. I think I was explaining in the previous show that I have a friend coming over at 5:30, which is half an hour after this show ends, so I can't really afford to run late. Which any other day I would just be like, if we run late, oh well. but I'm gonna try to keep these shows to about an hour officially. Just because I do respect people's time, and y'all got lives outside of just sort of watching me dink around on the internet. And I know that it always feels kind of like it's hard for me to leave just ongoing streams, and as a result sometimes I'll just spend hours doing stuff that I don't really want to do just because I'm like, well, I don't want to leave the stream, but it just keeps going and going, and this way I give you guys an out. I figure if we don't have anything else to do after the stream is over, we can all go hang out on Twitter or something. Tail! Here we go. Okay, now I'm gonna play around with her fur a little bit more before I do the tail. Fur. Fur is fun. Fur is nice and not scary like scales. Scales are scary to me. It's funny, I say it's scary. It's just kind of scales are a whole other language, and I have notes here in pencil that I'm I don't know how I'm gonna translate that to brush pen. I guess we're just gonna find out. Hi, Aether. It's an interesting process, inking pencil. Prior to this, I did a lot of brush pen, what I would call brush pen sketching, where I had no pencil to work with. I was just drawing it straight out with a brush pen, which perforce made it so I could not do really, I had to see the entire picture in my head before I started drawing it. And as a result, I could not draw really complicated pictures, and certainly not poses that I wasn't familiar with. I'm getting lost in the scales already. This is bad. What were you doing? I think this is how it goes. But on the other hand, when you're just inking it, it's you're just inking it, and there it is. And pencil is something of a different language from ink. And part of inking, I think that inking a pencil, an under pencil, is, I think it has a little bit of an added challenge, which is you are adapting the pencil into ink. And when I'm drawing under pencils, I do try to think about what the final product is going to be. What is it going to look like as inked? And I try to draw it with that in mind and do lines that will lend themselves well to the brush pen or the drafting pen or whatever tool I'm going to be using. And sometimes I'm just well, this is how I draw it in pencil. Good luck, future me. But I think that's something that's often, it's been hard for me to kind of reconcile with the way that a lot of clients kind of relate to the artwork that they commission, because it's people who don't draw, who commission artwork, are really a mixed bag. You get people who are very knowledgeable about the work that they're commissioning, and very understanding and very sympathetic about, the limitations of what you can and cannot do with watercolors. And they're great. But they don't, there's a profound difference between working even for people, and then of course you have the people who I really don't want to waste breath on, who just think of you as an art vending machine. And those people aren't fun to work for, and I generally don't. But even the good ones, and this isn't through any fault of their own. These people have done literally everything that they can, short of actually doing the artwork. So there's a profound difference even between a very well-informed non-artist client, and I'm getting into trouble here, but I'll just keep talking, keep inking, and a client who's also an artist. The conversations that I have with the artists that I've commissioned, or the artists who commission me, generally are along the lines of, here are the pencils. What do you think? How would you like, is there anything you'd like change? And, and this is what I also say to them. And the response is always, it looks amazing. Keep doing what you're doing. Like, we don't correct each other a whole lot. I mean, when artists commission each other, it's almost 100% of the time, like, artist liberty, artist choice. We're like, I'm commissioning you because I like you and I like your artwork and I just want you to have fun with this. Don't worry about me, just have fun with my character. And those are great, because it's like, those are just the best, period. But when it's coming from another artist, you really know that they know what they're getting into and they know what they want. And there's sort of this, especially if you work in the same medium, there's this understanding of, like, these very subtle things, like if you're doing a pencil sketch, like a graphite pencil sketch, that's not necessarily going to be improved by slapping inks on it. And if you commission an inked drawing, it's not necessarily going to be improved by adding color. It's not a linear upgrade, these things, sometimes. Some images were meant from the ground up to be black and white, or grayscale, or a graphite pencil drawing. And you can refine them to a certain extent. Well, if it's graphite pencil, there's not much you can do with inks. Yeah, there's something, sometimes it's like the business side of you wants to say, like, oh yes, you can commission me for a pencil drawing and then we can just add colors later if you want. And that's nice, but it doesn't really work, because it's like, okay, so this was a pencil drawing, so I just did it on like 150 GSM paper and now they want watercolors on it, but it's the wrong paper for watercolors. Or, like this, if I did this, that's one. Or it's like, okay, I did the pencils and they just want inks and I can do inks on this paper, but it's like I put in all this gentle gradients in the pencil that is not going to translate to the inks at all, and you're going to lose a lot of detail actually when we go to the inks. So yeah, so there's there's sort of a hierarchy with this kind of artwork you use, just I think because of the price. And it's like the reason inks cost more than pencils and color costs more than inks is because of the time. You're paying for the artist's time. But the good news is, for people on a budget, sometimes you can like get the best piece of artwork and it's just an ink sketch that doesn't take the artist a whole lot of time and looks great. And that's sort of what I'm going for with these guys. I've got like 5 whole minutes to dink around here with the scales. Woo. Incidentally, if you sponsor a piece or if you buy one in the auction, I am offering buyers the option, having said all that, I am offering them the option of me adding color to these. In that case, what I would probably do is actually not color the original. Instead of doing these in brush pen, I'm also doing them on smooth Bristol board, which can take watercolor. I've done it before. It can take watercolor. It does not look the best. The best thing for watercolor would be, it would be Arches. It would be Arches watercolor paper, either hot press or cold press. They're both equally good. But I've done inks on those and it's not the best for inks. And these are ink pieces. So if you want color, what I would probably do is I would scan them in and I would do digital colors. and you would get the black and white inked original, as it was meant to be seen, and then you would get a high resolution color image. And the digital colors would be clean and nice and not cover up the ink work at all, and I could really do the kind of sort of understated color that is nice and adds to the effect, but doesn't overpower, does not hide the important part. There's Kirhi. We're gonna do our mirror check. Look at her in the mirror. As far as I can tell, she's not wall-eyed, so we're gonna call that. Just need to sign this. For those of you watching along afterwards, Shira is in the chat shouting, "Beans! Yes, yes, beans! I did that for you, girlfriend!" And there she is. There, now I think you can see the toe beans. Okay. Let's look over here. We do have a few extra minutes. So I'm gonna go. I might disappear from the chat, but I'll be back. Let's see what I got in the way of music. Music on the iPad is just getting more and more effed up. And I don't even know what's on this, like, it looks like I have all these albums, but really I just have like 1 or 2 songs. So let's look at playlists. And I only have like 3 playlists. So this is like, see if we can find something. You're just gonna, how much? Oh, it looks like I have an entire Daft Punk album, so we're gonna play that. I'm not sure how well this is gonna come through, but hey, there's a first time for everything. Because I like my music to be kind of quiet in the background while I work. Set that one aside to dry. We're gonna move on to Borhosa. I'm gonna just jiggle all over my table. Sorry about that. Better being attacked, Captain! Time for mirror check. I did, his ears are crooked. All right, let's fix that. And I realize now it's more important than ever for me to talk so that the bots won't find the soundtrack and ban this video because I have Daft Punk playing in the background. It's so tricky. Digital music has really kind of unmasked just how sort of messed up copyright law is. It's messed up in so many ways, but it's still important. Borhosa is the Arctic Chimera. He is our first boy Chimera. For what it's worth, the environmental chimeras, and I said this before, I think it's worth mentioning again, are not sexually dimorphic. Borhosa keeps his antlers in the winter, like a female reindeer, whose antlers they are. Oh, baby, you did them in the wrong order. You think I've been left-handed my whole life, you think I would know better by now. If the paper goes away, it's because I'm checking it in my mirror. I have a mirror hanging directly in front of my drafting table for just occasions like that. Borhosa being the Arctic Chimera, I mean, there's a whole, like the desert, you could do like 10 different chimeras in 10 different configurations. I guess you could do like different emphasis on the Arctic Chimera. You could have Arctic chimeras that are mostly Arctic fox. But like, polar bears. You got like polar bears are like polar bears. They're so incredible, and I'm glad I was born in time to see them while they actually exist. I don't know how much longer they're going to be with us. I hope we manage to turn it around. I hope we manage to save the polar bears. For now. Everything is for now, really. I think it would be fun to do a series of like ancient environmental chimeras and like use Irish elk and mastodons and mammoths and stuff like that. That'd be fun. Ghost environmental chimeras. I could use like the quagga and the thylacine. Moa. Whew. I don't have a lot of hard and fast rules for how I create these chimeras. I mean, obviously it's 3 or 4 animals from the given environment that they sort of oversee. So far, they seem not to include birds, which may change. Actually, it has changed. The Alpine Chimera has some Stellar's Jay. But that's just sort of been coincidence. I haven't found a good way to work the bird part in. Up until now, Kirhi and Rhondi both have snake tails, which is, of course, a nod to the original Chimera, which had a snake's head for a tail, if I recall correctly. Borhosa does not have any snake in him because I could not find any snakes that were endemic to the Arctic environment. So he is sans reptile. I mean, I suppose you could do like fish, but I'm not sure. Yeah, that's another thing. All the environmental chimeras have been land-based, which again is just what we've got so far. I feel like if I feel like the sea chimeras are like a whole other thing. Like there's just, oh my god, the diversity of life in the ocean. It's just like land pales. So I think that would be, there's definitely something down there, but I just haven't gotten to it yet. There's something very relaxing about doing fur with a brush pen. And I think it's because the brush pen will give you stuff subconsciously. Sometimes it's not exactly what you want, but it's stuff. And it's just so, I mean, if it looks effortless, it kind of is. Sometimes it's effortless and it's exactly what you want. Sometimes it's effortless and it's, oh no, it's this permanent ink on the paper and I can't do anything about it. Which is why you practice. And more you get what you want. I was thinking earlier about the difference between digital art and traditional art. Here I'll move this up so you can see. I am primarily a traditional artist. I do work digitally, kind of in like the post-production phase of things, in stitching things together, adding texts and doing effects and stuff like that. And sometimes adding color to a piece. But as far as creating artwork, I did try it digitally. And I can recognize that digital has advantages over traditional art, and advantages I would like to take advantage of. But so far, I haven't been able to get in the groove of it. And I'm not sure if it's because, if it's that sort of bar that I have to clear, and I'm sorry about my cat. He can't actually rip down the door. He's tried. But he can't. I think that there's this barrier you have to clear as an artist if you've gotten proficient in one medium to then switch to another medium and realize that all the skills you developed for, say, inking with a brush pen do not actually transfer to inking with a stylus on a tablet. And you're sort of not exactly back to square one, but you're back to square 101 where you were on square 980 something. And that can be kind of daunting. And not an insurmountable barrier, I don't think. But in my case, I think the defining thing is, and I don't mean this as like a criticism of digital art as a medium. I think this is entirely my own mental configuration. I don't get the kind of satisfaction from creating a piece of digital art as I do from creating a piece of traditional art. Something about having something physical that I can hold afterwards, that's part of it. I think another part of it is a lot of my subjects are fantastical. They're things that you can't see in the real world. Or if it is based in the real world, it's skewed a little bit. Or it's particularly amazing parts of the real world. And for me, that's very much tied in with literally creating windows. I was very enamored of the mist and ribbon games as a child. And the idea that you could have this book that has a picture in it that comes to life and you put your hand on it, you go there, was just very resonated with me. And when I make artwork, I kind of think of myself as creating those windows. And for some reason, having that, having it on a piece of paper that you can then pick up, carry around with you, put on your wall, put on different places in your wall. I don't know. For whatever reason, I get this wonderful feeling of having performed like a magic trick when I do a piece of artwork traditionally. It's this incredible sense of satisfaction that I don't get that from digital art, and I don't know exactly why. Could have been for some combinations of the reasons I just listed, but I'm sure that digital artists get this feeling too from their digital art. So I think it just must be my brain. But I don't know. You never know what the future will hold. think that it's foolish to assume that what you're doing in your teens is necessarily going to be what you're doing in your 30s, and to assume what you're doing in your 30s is necessarily what you're going to be doing in your 50s and your 60s and 70s. I mean, it could be the same thing. You shouldn't close yourself off to the possibility of change, especially if it's change for the better. It was very funny for me earlier this morning. I was like on Twitter, and I was at a coffee shop. On Sundays I like to go to a coffee shop without my computer, without my iPad, just my notebooks, and do some sort of like warm-up sketching and stuff. And just no pressure, just whatever I want to do, whatever little idea I've had. And I was on Twitter to post the results of this. And everyone's, Inktober. I'm like, oh yeah, I should do something for Inktober. And then I remembered, oh yeah, I have a whole show that I'm doing for Inktober. Honestly, there's a part of me that finds these like monthly themes kind of silly. Like, I don't know, if you want to draw mermaids, just draw mermaids. Damn it, don't wait for mermaid or whatever. And on the other part, there's another part of me that just finds me like the coolest thing. Like, yeah, let's all draw mermaids in May. Junicorn, I love that. I would have so been in for Junicorn. And then I saw like the best unicorn ever. It was like a unicorn doing the Fleshman, which is, it's this thing that horses do, which is so hilarious. It's where they like lift their nose up. So if you know like the whole classic thing about elephants lifting their trunk up and sort of resting it across their tusks. So, you know, an elephant's trunk is just their upper lip. And horses kind of do the same thing, but obviously horses don't actually have trunks, and it's like they're trying really hard to lift their trunk up and rest it across their tusks, but they don't have a trunk and they don't have tusks, and the result is hilarious. And it was a unicorn doing this, and it was just like the most brilliant thing. And I'm like, that's it, I can't do Junicorn because they've drawn the ultimate unicorn doing Fleshman. I can't. I'm done. I'm going home. My boyfriend is in the chat saying, I've seen the best unicorn ever. And he says that because he's the best boyfriend. I think that as an artist, it's very good. It's not necessary, but it's very good to try to pick up as many new skills as you can. Because even though I said earlier that, like, you know, my skill with a brush pen doesn't translate to skill with a stylus and a tablet, there are many other cases where a skill in one place will help you out in another place. My inking with a brush pen, drawing, has gotten a lot better. And by better, I mean I get what I want more often. Since I started practicing calligraphy. And wasn't why I started doing calligraphy, but when I think about it, it's actually pretty understandable, because calligraphy is all about controlling the brush, when it's going to be thick, when it's going to be thin, and joining lines together so two lines look like one line. And that ability, those skills, being able to do that is very applicable in just general practice of artwork. The timing is looking good. Having a lot of fun with the variated brush thicknesses on these antlers. I think it's kind of funny. I'm like, I don't, like, if someone says that, like, so they say, like, reindeer horns. Reindeers don't have horns, they have antlers. Antlers and horns are two different things. It actually doesn't bother me. Like, I know what you're talking about. I'm not a complete pedant. But, like, for myself, I could never say, like, Borhosa has antlers, Kirhi has horns. And I have to keep those straight. I'm also one of those people who, like, you know, if I say, it's a cute bug. Well, technically, it's an ant. Ants aren't bugs. They don't have a hard carapace and wings. You know, like, and they don't suck blood, so they're not actually a bug. It's like, I'm very, like, particular about that as far as I'm concerned. But, like, one of my best friends is like, she draws bugs, and it's like, they're just bugs. I'm like, yeah, I can tell the difference. Those are just bugs versus, you know, bugs versus insects. I don't know. Now's the part where I hold him up to the mirror and go, did I forget anything? Oh, honey, you are a cute boy. You're such a cute boy. I just want to rub his belly. Don't you just want to rub that belly? I don't know, I think, like, bears are an even worse trap for belly rubs than cats are. I don't know, maybe if you, like, personally blow up an oil pipeline, then Borhosa will let you rub his belly. Alright, I think I'm just dicking around now. I'm gonna sign this one and call it good. And I'm gonna have to sign him on the right. Go gadget scratch paper. To be used as blotting paper, kind of. By the end of Inktober, I will be able to sign my name in kanji without having to check my cheat sheet. It's gonna be great! Alright, there he is. You still got all the pencil marks showing through, but I let these inks dry about, a day before I do the erasing. But here they are. I think if I scoot him all the way over to one side, we can get Kirhi in here. Kind of. Here they are. Pretty people! I did it! I did it! I did it in my time frame! Well, I started a little early on Kirhi, so kind of cheated, but here we are. And if you weren't there for the pre-show, since I wasn't recording the pre-show, we can show what we did here. I have these little square guys, and that was one that I just did just some trees, and then Shira prompted air, so I did a pyrocumulus, because that's me. Kit prompted satisfaction, so that's me at the top of my bike ride, looking out over the beautiful landscape. And Moth suggested a whale, so there's a happy whale. Yep. There we go. So, like I said before, Kirhi is already sold, so she's gonna go over here to wait. Tomorrow I'll go in and clean her up, get her packaged up. Borhosa, however, is for sale starting now. From now until 5 p.m. So the next 18 minutes is for sale. Minimum offer is $40. You get the original shipped to you. Yeah. And bidding forms, I'll practice this. Don't feel obligated to bid. I'm just practicing. Link to bidding forms are right there. And yeah, so the deal with these bids is I thought it'd be sort of a fun thing to do at the end of the stream to say, hey, look, if you want, you can buy this one now. And people can, if I get a bid, I can say, okay, we have this bid, and until the top of the hour, I'll continue to update if we get bids, who has the highest bid, and at the end of the hour, the person with the highest bid wins the picture. At the end, even if there's no bids, however, at the top of the hour, this guy will go off sale. You cannot buy him after the show because he is going to an art show in November. And if he doesn't sell in the art show in November, might be available online again, excuse me. But it's not going to be for $40, guys. It's not going to be for $40. So, that's the deal there. And now I'm just going to go through the chat. I was kind of looking at it. It's a little quiet in there. And I'm not seeing a whole lot of questions. So if there's no questions and there's no bids, we might end this show early. But I can give you a little preview. No, I can't because I don't have the right sketchbook in here with me. Oh well. I was going to give you a preview of what we're going to be doing next week. Next week is going to be Pahrim and Reef. Pahrim is the prairie chimera, and Reef is the forest chimera. Reef, I'm looking forward to doing Reef. Reef is part boar. So I'm looking forward to that one. So, yeah, I'm just gonna check. I said it was gonna go to the top of the hour, but since I doubt anyone's gonna put a bid in on this guy, I'm just gonna double check. Make sure that, yeah, no one has bid on him. So I think I'll end the recording here, so if you're watching online later, if something comes up between now and another 15 minutes, I'll probably put that in the description. Otherwise, I will be back at it next week on October 8th, same time and place. We'll be doing Pahrim and Reef. And if you get here a little bit early, I usually start the stream up around 3:30, and I'm just sort of doodling and goofing off and chatting with you guys, so. Yeah. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next week.